Hey everybody, Bryan, Zane here. I'm joined by Jay Biggs, and we are going to discuss the Royal Rumble, which is happening in just a couple of days from now. And there's always excitement going into the Rumble. It's one of the more entertaining shows of the year.
Agreed.
Because of the Rumble matches in particular, and we'll get to those. But first, let's begin with the Cruiserweight four-way match. Buddy Murphy defends against Akira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto of the Lucha House Party. It's a nice change of pace because if you're like us and you don't watch a whole lot of 205 Live and your only exposure to the Cruiserweights is these pay-per-views, then, it's a nice break from the pattern of Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander, which you've seen the last couple times.
I forgot about 205 until I found out Aiden English was doing commentary.
Oh, is he doing commentary? That's right, he is doing it. Yeah, Aiden English is all over the place. He's doing commentary for 205 Live. He's got a whiskey tasting YouTube channel. Do you know this?
I did not know that either.
Wrestling with Whiskey, which is, I know, is suspiciously close to the name of this channel, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Buddy Murphy, I've been really impressed with the stuff I've seen from him lately in singles action. And so when you've got him, who's, his style, and you've got all these different styles. You got like Japanese wrestler, you've got a luchador,
right?
You got all this stuff going on. I think it has the potential for
the elements
a really
are there
match.
to be exciting, without a doubt.
And then of course and that's kind of goes without saying because we know the Cruiserweights of 205 Live can all entertain. Who do you got for this Cruiserweight Championship match?
Buddy Lee, we love ye. I don't know.
That's a deep cut.
That's a very deep cut.
That's an inside joke none of you will get. So you think Buddy Murphy's going to retain?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they're going to do something really wild here, and they are going to give the belt to Hideo Itami. It's kind of a shot in the dark thing. I could be totally wrong, but you know what? I think anything goes in these kickoff matches, and so who knows what will happen. But I'm thinking there might be a championship change.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that, so I think Hideo is probably a very good choice as well. But yeah, it's going to be maybe one of those guys. Who see?
The next match for the kickoff is for the U.S. Championship as Rusev defends against Shinsuke Nakamura. And Jay, this match saddens me. The match itself saddens me, the build saddens me, its location of the card saddens me. Because think about where Shinsuke was this time last year.
Right.
He won the Rumble match,
right,
and now he's in the kickoff show fighting for the U.S. Championship in this match that has had really stupendously awful build, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, the build sucks because, like you had mentioned before we started shooting, they haven't even been on TV in a couple weeks really doing anything that's led up to this.
Yeah, they had 2 weeks of build with Lana and the beatdown and everything.
I like the pairing of the two. I don't think that they have, shitty matches or anything like that. No. I think it's always a decent match.
Like the match they had when Rusev won the belt, I thought was great.
Right.
That was one of the better matches I've seen in a long time from either guy.
Right, even if it was pre-taped.
Yeah, but I think it's just like they went hard with it for a few weeks and they totally cooled off in these last 2 weeks leading up to the show. And I think if you're gonna have this much cooldown period before the pay-per-view, why not just stretch the angle out to Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, they shouldn't even have the match. Honestly, they should just both be in the Rumble, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you can keep building the feud that way, and that's actually that'd be a good way, that'd be an organic way that makes sense to continue their feud.
This just seems like a filler match on the card. Like if you're gonna put the U.S. title on the card, I don't know, just my opinion. I don't really like titles on the opening show.
Yeah,
that's just kind of, I don't know, maybe brings the value down.
Yeah,
or something.
I was gonna say that makes sense.
So to me, if you're gonna have a U.S. title match, maybe I get the Cruiserweight, but the U.S. title match, shouldn't be on an opening show. Just my opinion.
All right, well, who do you got winning this one?
I'm gonna go with Rusev.
You think Rusev's gonna retain? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Ruru as well. I can see this going to Elimination Chamber for a feud, but I don't think the blow-off is happening just yet, especially because it's been so dead for the last 2 weeks.
They almost need a gimmick match. Am I wrong with this?
We'll put Lana in a shark cage and we'll see what happens.
Jesus.
Smackdown tag title match as The Bar defends against the new tag team of The Miz and Shane McMahon. Now this is very interesting. This is the first real match we get to see with these two because we've seen Miz and Shane team up in like comedy matches against local talent and only one guy's been in the ring at any given time. So this is the first real match we're going to get here with these two as a team. And I said on Who Wore It Better, I'm still kind of like on the fence about babyface Miz because like that's always been kind of a risky proposition in the times he's been babyface.
Right.
I've never enjoyed it as much as The Miz as a heel. So I'm really curious to see how this wrinkle in the story of The Miz is going to be now that he's partnering with Shane McMahon.
I almost feel, and maybe it's just me, but I almost feel like this is a setup for a McMahon-Miz match at Mania.
Yeah, that always seemed to be like the original story. Like the rumors were, oh, him winning the World Cup tournament was a precursor to him turning heel, and like that's still on the table, I would imagine. Like I heard that when they did the whole new era, when they did the fresh start, they were kind of kiboshing that angle. But maybe they'll bring it back. Like I mean, anything can really happen at this point. I think Shane, we can talk all we want about how it's like, oh, he takes up time on the roster. He's not even that good of a wrestler.
He's entertaining.
He's entertaining. He's still a name, and he will get eyeballs on him. I am curious to see what kind of stuff we'll see as a team between Miz and Shane, because they've shown now on like a personal level and a character level, they are tight now. But as far as like what stuff they can do in the ring remains to be seen. But I think, at least as far as Shane's concerned, he'll be in good hands with three of like the best workers in the company.
Right.
With Cesaro, Sheamus, and Mr. Mizzy.
And he can work, He
can still work. Yeah. When it comes down to it, he can still, put on a good match. Just don't have him throw any punches. That's all I ask you. So who you have winning this matchup?
I got a weird feeling that Miz and Shane are going to pull it out somehow. I don't know why, but even though I think that they're building to that match still, I mean, there's all sorts of things that could happen, but crazier things have happened. A 10-year-old boy and Braun Strowman have beat the bar before, so,
true.
Who knows?
I am going to go against you here. I say that the bar will retain. I mean, I don't think this is going to immediately lead to a blow-off with Miz and Shane, but I just don't see this brand new tag team winning the belts. I mean, there's a precedent, like you said. You've had Braun Strowman and a minor never teaming together, and yet they still won the championship. So we'll see what happens with that. But for now, I'm going to say the bar retains. Asuka defends her Smackdown Women's Championship, which she won at TLC against Becky Lynch, who, as we all know, has been riding this huge wave of momentum and is one of the hottest acts in the company right now. This one, I feel like I'm going to preface this by saying I think all the women's matches for me are going to be the toughest to predict because, I think the general consensus is Mania will have Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte in a triple threat. That's, I think, the safest bet for a Mania main event. But my issue is how are they going to get there? Because they still have Elimination Chamber between now and then. So, how are these paths going to converge to eventually justify that match happening? And how will these matches, these matches on Sunday will determine how the path begins.
I just feel like so many women's matches at Mania are clusterfucks. And what I mean by that is that there's always a lot of people in them instead of just two.
Yeah,
and to me, this feud's important enough.
Right, we did have Charlotte and Asuka last year, but in Dallas we had the triple threat with Charlotte and Becky and Sasha. And, I feel like a lot of the women's matches at Mania are kind of multi-person. Like, you make a good point. But, I think this match is going to be great. But, for me, the toughest thing will be to call who wins here.
Right.
So, I think I'm gonna say that Becky regains the championship. That's kind of my thing. But, I'm not 100% on that. But if I have to pick one, that's probably going to be how it goes. So what do you think?
I think so. I think Becky, just my opinion right now, I think Asuka was kind of put in there to hold things in place for a little bit.
Yeah.
So the transitional champion in a way.
Which is disappointing given Asuka's pedigree and how far she's fallen in her stock since she debuted in the main roster.
Well, right, but I will say this. My hopes are that come around Mania, we're getting Becky and Ronda one-on-one, and Asuka maybe goes off on Charlotte Flair for losing last year at Mania or something, and we get that Charlotte-Asuka rematch maybe with some kendo sticks involved or something. I don't know. I'm just saying that I think that those would be two better one-on-one matches than having three girls in one match or having Asuka completely off the card because of her talent.
Moving over to the Raw side now. Ronda Rousey defends her Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks. And Biggs, I can tell you're looking a little sleepy-eyed on this. Are you not entertained?
No, dude, I'm not. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I'm just not, because we all know what happens. Ronda comes out. She may have a good match. I'm not saying she's gonna have a bad match, but she may get her ass handed to her with a beatdown or something, and then the next night she's gonna come flaunting around out like nothing's happened and smile and happy, and it's like the Hulk Hogan of the 80s or some shit, you know what I mean? Just come out and do your thing and everybody's going to cheer.
You see, now I am actually very intrigued by this. It's so funny. Every time I see a new feud with Ronda, I'm like, well, here we go. But then by the end, they managed to pull something out of their ass to make it really interesting. The only exception to that has been, for me, her feud with Nikki Bella at Evolution. But every other match she's had this last year, it's like the build ends up being something really interesting. It kind of takes me by surprise. So now at this point, it shouldn't be a surprise. So I've actually liked, it's kind of been kind of a crash course thing, but the way they've been building this feud with Sasha and Ronda and how much fire and venom's been coming out of their promos, it's been really hard to detect who's face and who's heel in this because Ronda has all these backhanded compliments like, I love you, Sasha, I respect you, which is why I want to beat you so bad. Why is it hard for everyone to understand? And Sasha's just like...
Maybe it's an MMA thing, Brian. We just don't get it because we're wrestling fans.
Yeah, and Sasha's been bringing the heat with her promos and stuff. She's acting like Ronda slapped her mama or something with the vile venom that she's going with this. That being said, I predict this match is going to have a non-finish. I think that it's going to end up in a big schmoz or a brawl or something, a big pull-apart thing. Disqualification, count out, call it what you will. It's going to be a bullshit finish, and the title will neither be retained or change hands. That's my pick.
My opinion here is that Bayley and Sasha are definitely involved in this tag team scene. So to me, there's not going to be any way they're going to put the belt on Sasha.
Right.
They are, saying that Ronda they're teasing at least that Ronda and Natalya are going to be another team, but I don't see them as tag team champions. I see them as maybe somebody who, is at the Elimination Chamber in the match or something, but they've got to get Ronda to Mania.
That's another thing as well. I mentioned earlier how these women's matches are so hard to predict. The Elimination Chamber and the fact they're going to be crowning new women's tag team champions also makes this particular show hard to figure out where the women are going to go because who's going to win the champion, who's going to be in the championship match at Elimination Chamber, and Sasha and Bayley I think they're a lock for that for sure.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think anything's going to happen in this particular match.
Right.
Did you pick a winner?
Ronda.
Okay.
Yeah, she's walking right out.
All right. The new Daniel Bryan versus the real AJ Styles for the Metal and Leather WWE Championship. It's a rematch from what they had in the last couple of months at TLC and the Smackdown Before Survivor Series. And so now the whole angle they're going for is that AJ's found this new mean streak in him. Vince McMahon got the real AJ Styles out of him. But honestly, in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, what is the difference between the real AJ Styles and presumably the fake AJ Styles before he popped Vince in the face? Because I'm not seeing it right now. He's been fighting Daniel Bryan in these backstage brawls or in-ring brawls for the last 3 weeks now. And I'm not seeing any forward progress with this angle. Besides that, you know what would have helped if they want to establish the real AJ Styles? Put him in a match with somebody else and have him just beat the shit out of him and let the bell ring on disqualification. Have him show his aggressive side. Basically pull Samoa Joe. But they haven't done any of that. And so yeah, I'm really hard pressed to find what's so captivating about the real AJ Styles. I mean, maybe like you said, maybe AJ will be conflicted or want to do something heelish to win the championship back, kind of like what Daniel did for his heel turn. But I mean, who knows? We all know the match is going to be good. It just comes down to execution and what the finish is going to be. I believe Daniel Bryan's going to retain the championship again. I don't see him losing to AJ here. Again, I don't know what the plans for either man are for Mania at that point, but I'm just kind of going to wait and see what happens.
I heard an interesting rumor of maybe a Bray Wyatt AJ Styles feud. On his return. I don't know. We'll see. That's just hearsay.
So who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to go, I think, with Daniel Bryan for this one. He's just too hot right now, and Jesus, they didn't give him enough of a face run when he came back, in my opinion, with the...
Well, they made him a face, but it was a really pathetic face where he lost all the time.
But that's what I'm saying. That, his comeback, should have been with Miz at Mania in a one-on-one match, and then he should have maybe got some, been with the belt or something. But anyway, all I'm saying is that now what he's found, they shouldn't pull off him this quick. It's only been since Survivor Series. So
I think eventually when he loses the belt, the key will be how can he maintain that character after he loses the championship.
He's going to be angrier.
But that time is just not yet. Universal Championship match, Brock Lesnar defending against Finn Balor. It's David versus Goliath. Once again, we've seen it with AJ Styles. We've seen it with Daniel Bryan. And now we're seeing it with old Finn, who's not going to be the demon, they say, but that's just what they want us to think. He's totally going to be the demon.
He's not. And he totally knows that Vince McMahon does not want him to win.
Is that your Irish accent?
I think so.
I
don't know. I'm not sure what that
needs work. Needs work. Needs work is all I'm saying. So anyway, what do you think about this matchup?
It's like you said, David versus Goliath again, and like we were talking a little bit before we got on camera here. Since last year at Survivor Series, since he faced AJ Styles, I feel like Brock Lesnar has been able to deliver some very good matches with the David and Goliath factor. And whereas before it seemed like he was just working a lot of big guys like Triple
Yeah.
H, John Cena,
He's worked Braun, he's worked Joe.
So
I think he's had better matches with smaller guys than bigger guys.
Well, right, they've been more intriguing, and it's funny. So last year I didn't watch that match until maybe a few months ago. Honestly, I didn't watch the AJ Styles match with Brock Lesnar, and so I watched it and was like, oh my gosh, that was a great match, way better than I thought. Because the reason I watched it was because I wanted to know where they were going this year. How would they make that match different? Obviously, it changed, but I'm happy it changed. I thought it was going to be a good match to begin with at Survivor Series, and then it turned to Daniel Bryan, and that was a great match. I can only assume, though, that this match is going to be very similar to those, other than I just don't know. Maybe there's that edge again that Vince McMahon's pushing people, and so now Finn Balor is going to be more aggressive, maybe more heelish or something than ever. I don't know.
It's like we talked about, how many times can they do this David versus Goliath matchup with Brock before finally pulling the trigger? There is the rumor now that, when Brock re-signed, it was only for 2 matches, and the first of his 2 matches was with Daniel Bryan, which means this is the second, which means, is Brock going to leave? I don't know about that, because every time we hear, Brock's going to leave, he ends up re-signing for another gob of money for another limited dates or whatever like that. So it's like, he could leave. I think it's hard to imagine WrestleMania without Lesnar at this point in the game, for all they've put into him. So, I don't know. This one's kind of tough for me to predict, because you don't know. It's like, eventually something's got to give when it comes to these David versus Goliath matches. But then again, Brock is the final boss. He's kind of been killing everyone's dreams for a couple years now. So, that being said, what do you think is going to happen?
I think Brock's going to win. I think Finn's going to give a valiant Balor effort. Now, he did say, a lot of people have been wondering, is he going to be the Demon or Finn Balor? He's for sure going to be Finn Balor.
Yeah,
he's not going to do the
He's
Demon
been saying,
thing.
but again, it could be a bait and switch. You never know.
Well, right. But if the Demon comes, he might win the belt now.
Ooh.
But I will say, Brian, of all the guys who hasn't gotten a shot and was very unlikely, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, Finn Balor, if you think about it, his injury really did. He was that first Universal Champion. He had to
slowed him
hand
down
it
a lot.
over.
It took him a long time to get back into this position.
Right.
God,
It is rough. There could be some sort of finish that we're just not thinking of or something, but I personally think Lesnar has to win, because he just mowed through everybody. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to be pretty wild here and say Finn wins. I don't know, call me crazy, but there's a little bit inside of me. I believe in Finn Balor. Time now for what you came to see here, the Rumble match predictions. Let's begin with the women's Rumble match. Not the entire field has not been announced yet, but a lot of it has. It's pretty much every woman on the main roster who's not in a title match. So everyone you could possibly expect who's currently employed on the main roster is going to be there. And then one of the big stories is Alexa Bliss is coming back to action in the Rumble match. That's a big storyline. But beyond that, and just like Charlotte is Charlotte, there aren't a lot of other angles going for this matchup. And you got Carmella as number 30. I bet you anything Truth is going to show up, because he won number 30 for the men's. That wacky R-Truth. And he'll go, my bad, and he'll dance his way off camera. And that'll be that, and he'll come back later, I guess. But that's really it as far as I can think of for what angles are happening. And we'll see Naomi versus Mandy Rose, I'm sure, at some point. Fighting in the Rumble.
Who's the girl? I'm sorry, I should know this. Who is it that just debuted off the NXT roster?
Well, there's Nikki Cross and Lacey Evans, and Lacey made her first promo on the main roster by stealing the thunder of Alexa Bliss. So
I think that's what it was. That's what I was.
That's another thing that happened was Alexa made the announcement, and then they kind of immediately put a wet blanket on it with Lacey Evans. Some people are saying that they should have waited for Alexa to come out as a surprise entrant to give it more oomph. I don't think it makes a difference, personally. Because they've been acting as if she's been the way they've been telling the story with Alexa, they haven't been saying she's injured. She's just been there the whole time, just not wrestling. So I don't think it makes a huge difference if they announce it the week before, or if she's a surprise entrant in the match.
The only female that I can think of on this planet that I would seriously pop for is that AJ Styles when he made his debut in the Rumble kind of thing at this point would have to be Karma if she came back. I would pop for that. Personally.
That'd be interesting to see her come back. I don't know if she's still wrestling even full time.
Is she doing welfare or something now?
That's the welfare queen. Well, back in the 80s, she was the welfare queen. No, I mean, if we want to surprise entrance, do you have any idea who might be? Because I think there's like 5 or 6 spots that could be reserved for like surprise, like legends or like NXT walk-ons.
Yeah,
like
I don't see Trish necessarily, but maybe Trish Stratus could be one of those.
She could be back in it.
Lita, Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool. As long as the Undertaker's there, she's probably going to pop up.
Oh, she's going to eliminate like 5 more people in one go.
Right.
Yeah, I think as far as, and I think Beth Phoenix is also a possibility because
I love Beth.
She's going to be there at the pre-show. She's part of the panel, so maybe she'll, she's got her gimmick. She's got her gimmick on underneath, so she'll like Cesaro style. She'll have the gimmick on underneath or something. As far as NXT people, I'm trying to think who might show up. I would love
Kairi Sane.
Kairi Sane, I think, be a great one. I would love if Bianca Belair were a surprise NXT entrant.
Shayna Baszler?
Shayna Baszler, I think, would be good as well. Who do you think is going to win the Rumble match?
Man, this is rough. I know this is crazy. Bayley or Charlotte?
Okay, that's interesting. You go Bayley is one of the picks.
The reason I say Bayley is because they could totally do this thing with Sasha, maybe even where she wins the belt and maybe they don't get the tag team titles and they go on to face each other at Mania or something. I mean,
that is a very alternate timeline kind of prediction.
Yeah, but I would say ultimately Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I'm going to be in agreement with you. I think Charlotte's like, it really doesn't make sense for anyone else to win but Charlotte at this point because like, that's her ticket to WrestleMania at that point. They could wait until Elimination Chamber to find some way for her to get in. But this just seems like the one that makes the most sense. Because, I don't know, because it's Charlotte. And the whole narrative about, like when all these other wrestlers say, you get all these opportunities you don't deserve because you're a Flair. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy when they push her so much.
Right.
It's like, and she
hasn't done that yet. So if she hasn't done it yet, she's probably going to do it.
And she's supposed to be like, a tweener, I guess, at this point. She's not a heel, but I don't think she's a babyface right now. So I think she's probably a tweener. Finally, let's talk about the men's Royal Rumble match. This one, I think, is also going to be kind of difficult to call because there's a lot of different ways you could go with this. I think a lot of the people are kind of predicting it's going to be Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. That's the one they've been putting all their eggs in the basket. SmackDown, it's like I don't feel like a SmackDown person's going to win based on the build. That has not even crossed my mind. They tried a last minute on the Go Home show this week to try and say, well, what about this guy? What about Samoa Joe? What about Randy Orton? What about Rey Mysterio? What about Andrade? All these guys are finally putting last minute saying like, this guy could win, but they're not going to win. It's going to be someone from Raw, I bet. Is kind of my prediction. But what do you think going into this match?
Going into it, there's so many names, and like you said, the build has been focused on around guys like McIntyre and Rollins. I, at this point, am still feeling like, because I had heard rumors back a couple months that we were going to see some Seth and Lesnar action at Mania, so maybe Rollins wins it. That's the only thing I can think at this point. But Drew, gosh. I still don't understand why they had Drew lose the way he did on Raw a few weeks back.
To Ziggler?
To Ziggler, and then for him to just destroy him again. It almost was like, keep the guy friggin' strong.
And have we seen Ziggler since that little feud with him and Balor and McIntyre? I haven't seen him. I don't know what the hell he is.
Maybe he's going to be in some elite club soon or something.
Well, maybe. We'll see. We're in that golden age now where like any rumor of someone going to AEW is like treated with like some kind of validity, because you never know. What Culture put out a theory the other day that like maybe someone from the New Day could win and like have a feud with Daniel Bryan over consumerism. Like that would be interesting. That's very universe mode to me. I don't see them winning.
Do you remember who when when Daniel Bryan was with AJ as boyfriend girlfriend, who was their bodyguard? Big E. There's a play in on that too, so I could see that. That'd be a level of continuity and callback that I don't think that WWE is capable of handling. Probably, you got a point.
And then, I heard some people say, Cena makes a lot of sense as a winner because, like, maybe he could get that, like, 17th championship win.
If he beat Lesnar, that would be kind of we've never seen that at Mania.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of possibilities, but I think they're probably going to go with the safe route. I would bet you, I'm going to go with you and say Seth Rollins will win the men's Rumble. It's like, the Rumble matches both are at one point tough to predict, but also it seems like they're going to go with the easy choice. Now, we could be wrong, but I mean...
Could be Lars Sullivan.
I'm just saying. I thought Jericho was going to win in 2012, and they wound up going with Sheamus, and that broke my heart. So, you know, we haven't had any surprise winners in the last couple of years. I think the last, like, total surprise winner for the Rumble match was, like, Edge, when he came back from his neck injury. No one else to
Batista?
me.
But we all knew that was going to happen if he came back.
And then, like, Orton winning was like, it was a surprise, but it was like, oh, like when he won again. That's kind of how I felt. It's like, oh, well, okay.
And I like Orton. I just for the record, I still think they could do 10 times more than what they've done with Orton. With Orton, but they are just. I had predicted that we were going to see Orton and AJ in the main event, maybe not main event, but main event for Smackdown for the title.
Oh, maybe.
Before this whole Daniel Bryan turn.
Real quick question. Do you think Bray Wyatt is going to reappear at the Rumble match?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, and if they do, then that could be one of those surprise people that wins. That was something that kind of came in the back of my head too earlier. I was thinking about that, was maybe Bray Wyatt could come back and win. The Bludgeon Brothers have just been returned to...
Have they?
Yeah, they've just been cleared.
Okay.
So it looks like they're ready for action again. So, I mean, who knows? You know, we could see that transformation of the Wyatt family or, you know, whatever.
In case of emergency, reunite the Wyatt family.
Right.
Well, those are our picks for the Ramble Rumble, as Vladimir Kozlov would say. What do you think is going to happen at the Royal Rumble this Sunday? Let us know in the comments section below. And come back to the channel on Monday morning when I've got my review. And also later in that week, we're going to have our Rumble match reactions. Biggs will be joining me, as will Chris, a.k.a. Ian the Know-It-All Fan. And we might even get some cut-ins from R. Felix Finch, who's going to be at Chase Field to see the Rumble. So we might get some crowd reactions for certain entrants interspersed with our reactions in my garage.
Right.
Which is the best location in the house to watch the Rumble. While the
on
kids
the projector.
While the kids are still awake.
Yes.
So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this Rumble predictions video. For Jay Biggs, I'm Bryan Zane, and we'll see you next time.